وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ فَهَلْ مِن مُّدَّكِرٍ.
And we have certainly made the Quran easy for remembrance. So is there any who will remember?
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulihil Kareem. Amma ba'd, inshallah today we'll start with the first lesson of this new course. I've called the course Quran Arabic, and the reason I've done that is my intention is, inshallah, with the help of Allah, bi'idhnillah, is to learn the Arabic language. And as we learn the Arabic language, I want to imply the rules, the things that we have picked up while going through, and then go through the Quran with those things, and hopefully see where those rules and applications take place. And inshallah, with that, with a lot of repetition, we can build up. And also want to use the Quran as a source of vocabulary. And inshallah, with that, not only will we learn the Quran, and one of the most important reasons why we're learning the Arabic language is to get, inshallah, closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what better way to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by learning the kalam, learning the book of Allah, so learning the meanings, which inshallah we'll go through, and also learning the rules as we go along, inshallah. And inshallah, I'm trying to take it as from right from the beginning all the way from there onwards, inshallah. Regarding this particular course, it is really for those who can read Arabic. By that I mean read Arabic even if the tajweed isn't correct. Inshallah, I mean there's other courses, and I encourage people to learn tajweed, but you do not need tajweed for this. If you're somebody who can read the Quran, then inshallah the course is applicable for yourself. And as I say, we'll take it quite basic, and I'll apologize for those of you who know a lot more, but I want to take it quite basic, and so there'll be a lot of repetition, inshallah, and that should help reinforce the ideas and pick up as we go along. I also want to apologize right at the beginning regarding the quality of these videos. Inshallah, I want to make them easy accessible to people. I'm aware that the lighting, maybe the sound isn't that great. The timing is generally, these are going to be done in the evenings, and it's dark outside, so the lighting isn't going to be great. But inshallah, put up with that, because I think more important than that is the content, and inshallah the information that we go through. Inshallah, through that, inshallah, we get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if that's our intention, inshallah, then this is considered as worship, and something that we will be rewarded for with the permission of Allah. Regarding those of you who can't read, inshallah, on this particular course, I will have a link there in terms of a link to go to a different site to pick up on tajweed and learning the Quran in terms of reading it. And that link itself is not something that I would have checked myself. I would have checked it briefly, generally, and I've seen some of the information. It's not somebody who I know personally, and so bear that in mind. So it's not like an endorsement of that, but it's something that you may find useful, so the link will be there for that, inshallah. And with that, inshallah, we'll make a start. In terms of the information that we'll be going through, just to let you know, the information that it should be on my website again. And inshallah, if you enroll to this course, I am intending to, the plan at the moment is probably after lesson 7 there'll be a sort of quiz and test, and that will be a way of checking how much of the things you've picked up and the kind of areas that you probably need to work on, or maybe I need to focus more on. And inshallah, please do send me comments and suggestions, inshallah, bearing in mind this is quite a low-tech venture as such, and an idea that we're going through. In terms of the material, on the website you'll see hopefully a link, the PDF files, and if you link on them, they should open up if you've got a PDF reader. If you don't, you should be able to get hold of Adobe Reader, which is free, and you should be able to see these files. And ideally you can print them out, or if you've opened up on the computer, and then khair, inshallah, and you can still go through that. The video, I'm hoping I've got a board here and I'll be writing some things here, and it's more of a way of reinforcing what we're going through, and also another way of visualizing what we're going through. So inshallah it'll be even more clearer than it should be as it is. And if you're struggling to read it, which I hope is not the case, but if it is, then please click on the video and make it bigger and see if that helps with that, inshallah. Regarding the material itself, I've been through Bayna for about a year, and this was a while back, and so it's some of the information and the way it's set up is related to Bayna TV, because that's how I've structured it, because I think it's a very good way of teaching. And in addition to that, I've added a few more information, and that's from Arabic Tutor. It's actually 4 volumes, and I've just taken bits and pieces out and I've put it into this document. The document itself is more for a reference, and we'll be going through that, but bearing in mind it's a reference material, so some of the stuff we might not know at this particular time, but we'll come back to it inshallah later. And it's quite small in that it's about 40 pages, this document is. So it's quite compressed, but it's got a lot of information in there, and inshallah we'll work our way through that. The material itself is inshallah free. Use it. The videos inshallah are also free, so please use them and spread them if they want. Obviously I would like them to remain free, so you do not have permission to make money from it. There's no commercial venture, and also the information which is a lot of it is pasting from information from Bayina and from another book, and added a few more things of myself in there. So again, free in its totality. By all means spread it, because inshallah the message is to spread the language of Islam, Arabic, and that's the real aim. It is not as a way of making money, so you will not have and do not have permission to use this information to make any sort of financial gains from it. In terms of the vocabulary, we'll be going through Al-Huda. Some of you may be familiar with it. They do have an English translation word to word, and I'll be using that, and inshallah again that link should be on the website as well, so the vocabulary. So those are the main 2 materials that we'll be going through, and with that inshallah we'll make a start. The first page, inshallah, the aim today is to go through the first page of this the reference material, the 40 pages that I've talked to you about. So if you have it open, that would be useful. The first page itself is just an index. As I say, I did want to, and I do want to make it like a reference material. So that's the first page. So on there, it might be the second page, but the bottom will say page 1, and inshallah we'll go through that. First thing to mention, and we'll take it right from the beginning, is that Arabic words, all Arabic words are of 3 types, so I'll fall into 3 different categories. They are one of these 3 types, and all of them will be in one of these 3 types, and they are Ism, Fi'l, and Harf. And inshallah I'll try and write this down and see if you can read it. So the Arabic words are of 3 types. Okay. And first one we mentioned was Ism. The second we mentioned, the order isn't that important, is Fi'l. And the third type is we call Harf. So if you open up the Quran, all the words in there, the letters, because we call them letters, Harf, are one of these 3 categories. All of them. There's no exception to that. What is an Ism? Ism is described, you can describe it in English as nouns, but much more than that. Nouns, adjectives, proper nouns, names of places, all of those fall into Ism, and a lot more than that as well. So it's just a rough idea. Those are the kind of things which are referred to as Ism. Fi'l are referred to as doing words, so verbs, or doing words, those things that have a tense to it. By tense we mean past, present and future. So for example, go, to be the future or present, or went to be the past. So those kind of words are called verbs in English, and in Arabic we call them fi'l. And harf are the rest. And the harf, in terms of way of thinking about it, which will be useful, is to think of harf as words that by themselves, they do not convey a lot of meaning. They don't tell you much. So harf usually need something else with them. So if, for example, in, on, just in themselves don't give you much information. So if you are somebody who asks you a question, where were you, in, think in what? So you need something else like in the house. And so on themselves they don't give you that information. So that's the definition of harf. So again, 3 types: ism, fi'l, and harf. And inshallah with that I want to go through the vocabulary of the Quran. Inshallah today we'll go through Surah Al-Fatiha, and then I want to make a lot of repetition so that you can also learn the vocabulary as well as we're going along. And some of you inshallah probably know some of the vocabulary, but we want to go through word by word, and let's see inshallah how we get on. So Surah Al-Fatiha. Vocabulary. Again, this should be on the website. If you click on it, it should load up. Or if you're struggling, you should not need to struggle, but it's on Al-Huda as well, and it's word for word English translation of the words of the Quran. So Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So we'll go with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim first. Bismi is actually 2 words. Okay, so Bismi itself is actually 2 words. And let's see, I'll write it here quite big, and I'll rub out the previous things. We can always rewrite that again when you come back to it again. But let's show you Bismi first. Bismi. Bismi. Okay, the 2 words. So you got the ba and you got ism. Ba and ism. And when they're combined together, the alif is dropped. Alif drops when the ba is attached to the ism. So that's Bismi. So there's 2 words in there. The first, the meaning, we're going to learn in here. People translate it in the name of Allah or with the name of Allah. I prefer, especially starting off, I think it's perhaps better used with, because it's like utilizing, and the ba here often has that meaning. So that term ba here as B is a harf. Okay, so inshallah while we're going through the meaning this time around, we're going to go through and we're going to say which one's which. Okay, for some of them, not all of them, because some of them are a little bit trickier and I do not want to confuse you. So ba here is a harf. Then you've got ism, and ism is obviously an ism, and here it means name. So with the name, Allah, and again Allah is an ism. Ar-Rahman, translated as the most merciful, and that is an ism. Okay, and then Ar-Rahman, again, that is an ism. And another thing I want to mention here, I don't want to mention too many things, I do not want to confuse you, but let's see, Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim, there's an al that comes before the word Rahman, translated often as the, sometimes as all, but usually as the. So you got Ar-Rahman, okay, so you got Ar-Rahman. You got Ar-Rahman. And Ar-Rahman here, what I want you to focus on is the al. Translated as the usually. And that, why have I done that way, is it gives you a clue. Whenever you see al or the, then you know it's going to be an ism. So one of the ways of recognizing an ism is the al. Ar-Rahman. And again Ar-Rahim, you've got the al again. So that's again an ism translated as the most, no, Ar-Rahim. They're translated here as always all merciful. The always all merciful. Continuing with Alhamdu. Alhamdu means all praise and thanks. more than just one of those words, so it's a combination. And as you said before, as you're probably aware, English is a rough translation of the Arabic. And inshallah, as we learn more Arabic, or we learn more Arabic, then we should be able to appreciate that. So Alhamdu, again, Al comes at the start of that, so it's an Ism. Ar-Rahman means all praise and thanks. Lillahi, again, similar to Bismillahi, Lillahi is two words. Lillahi is two words. Li and Allah. Li and Allah. And it becomes Lillahi. Becomes Lillahi. And you can see again with this one, the alif disappears. Remember Bismi? Alif disappeared. Here again, Li and Allah, when it comes together, Lillahi, the alif disappears. Alif disappears. So again, here, Li, belonging to, means belonging to, or translated as for. Again, same meaning, but for in the sense of belonging to. Allah, Allah, Ism. Rabb, meaning here, sustainer. Rabb, sustainer, Lord, lots of different meanings. Sustainer. Rabb means sustainer. And again, this is an Ism. Okay, we talked about it before. Nouns, proper nouns, names, adjectives, all of those are considered Ism. Ism is quite a broad category. There are a lot more words than much more than nouns. Al-Alameen again has an alif lam. Alif lam at the beginning, again giving you a clue. That's an Ism. Okay? It doesn't mean that words that don't have alif lam are not Isms. No, it doesn't mean that. All it means is if you find an alif lam, then you know definitely it's an Ism. As long as the alif lam is separate from the actual word, it meaning the, which at the moment, whenever you see it, perhaps easiest is whenever you see al, then think of it as an Ism, because most likely you're going to be right, especially if the meaning is the. So Al-Alameen, the worlds. Al-Alameen, the worlds. The next ayah, Ar-Rahman, again we went to the meaning of this before. Ar-Rahman, the most merciful. Ar-Rahim, the always most merciful. And both of these are also again Ism. Malik, they've got two meanings written here. Master, owner. I prefer the meaning of owner, so we'll go with that, owner. Malik, owner. Again, as you can sound like noun, yeah, it's an Ism. Yom, day. Ad-Din, the judgment. Yom is an Ism. Ad-Din has alif lam, gives you a clue, it's an Ism. So Maliki Yawmiddin, owner of the day of judgment. Okay, so sometimes when you're going through word for word translation, you need to add a few more bits in. And inshallah, when you learn the grammar, you'll pick up why there's an of here, why these things happen. With time, inshallah, we'll go through those. Next ayah is Iyaka. Iyaka, you alone. Okay, Iyaka, you alone. Iyaka translated as you alone or you only. Na'budu, we worship. Na'budu means we worship. So na'budu, we worship something that you do. So it's a fi'l. Na'budu is a fi'l. Na'budu is a fi'l. So we worship. Wa, and is what? It's a harf. And in itself does not give you much information. Wa, meaning and, is a harf, meaning and. So iyaka, you alone. Nasta'een, we seek for help, or we ask for help. Nasta'een, again something that we do. Okay, asking for help, something that you do, it's a fi'l. Next ayah, Ihdina, guide us. Ihdina, guide us. Guide us, again, this is a fi'l. The ihdina, the ihdi bit anyway, is a fi'l. Guide. So guide us, ihdina in combination is guide us, is a fi'l. As-sirata, the path. Again, al comes before it. It's an Ism. Al-Mustaqim, an Ism. You got al there. Al-Mustaqim, straight. Okay. So the path, the straight. Arabic is the other way around. In English, we would have said the straight path. Adjectives usually come before the noun. Arabic, the other way around. Okay, and inshallah when you go through that, you learn it. So in Arabic, meaning the same. So when we read it, we say, guide us to the guide us straight path, guide us to the straight path, or on the straight path. All of those are encompassed in this particular sentence. So in English we say the straight path. However, in Arabic, the path comes first, the noun, and mustaqim, the adjective, comes afterwards. The one adjective meaning the one you described. But both of them are what? Isms. They both have al. And as I said, even if they don't have al, we know that they're ism. And knowing the meaning obviously is helping, particularly now, to know which is which part of the Arabic. And as I said, all of these Arabic words are one of these three. Some, as I say, I may not mention because I don't want to confuse you, but most of them, as we can see, we are going through and mentioning them. So the next ayah is sirata. We had the word before, meaning path. And again, this is an ism. Alladhina, alladhina. Okay, alladhina, of those who. Of those who. Alladhina, those who. The word itself, alladhina, those who. And anta, you favored. You favored. Okay, you favored or you blessed. And again, an anta, blessed, it's a fi'l, action. Alayhim. Alayhim, two words. So we've had a few which are two words. Two words. Ala and hum. Ala means upon. Hum means them. And when they come together, they become alayhim. Happens a lot in Arabic that some of the, like, you had hum, we don't say alayhum, we say alayhim. These things do happen often, and generally the Arabic tries to make it easier on the tongue. So if there's a little bit hardness there, there's slight changes to it. So ala and hum becomes alayhim. Alayhim. Becomes alayhim. Becomes alayhim. Okay. Ala and hum becomes alayhim. So there's two words there. Ala. So what is ala? Ala, upon. So that is a harf. That is a harf. Harf. And hum, them, is an ism. Pronouns, those are all isms. Okay, as I said, isms are quite big in category. عليهم, so صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب, so غير عددا المغضوب, those who earned anger, those who earned anger, those who earned wrath, those who earned anger. And again, al at the beginning gives you a clue that it is an ism. عليهم, عليهم. Again, two words, we mentioned them before, so see if you can remember them. Ala and hum. Ala means upon or on, hum, them. When they combine together, they becomes alayhim. And some of these, as you can see, come again and again, like alladhina, alayhim. So a lot of words come again and again. So if you pick them up well, inshallah, you should remember them. Wa means and. Okay, wa means and it's a harf. La means not, and that is again a harf. Harf. Ad-dallin, those who are misguided, those who are gone astray. Ad-dallin, and again alif lam at the beginning. Ad-dallin. Advice would be, in terms of learning the Quran vocabulary, generally even speaking, anybody who's learning any material, it's a good idea to repeat, repetition, not in only one sitting. So go through it today, inshallah. If you've learned it, great. Then some other day, tomorrow, repeat it again, and as the more you repeat it, the easier it will get. Far better than spending 30 minutes one go trying to learn it again and again and again. It's far more constructive, far better. Let's say spend 10 minutes now, 10 minutes in the evening, 10 minutes the other day. That's far better in terms of learning, and you'll see that as you repeat it, it gets better. The other thing I would advise is, once you get used to the vocabulary, you're confident with the vocabulary, then make it harder for yourself. By that I mean is just do one ayah. You're learning it, get it order, it's easy. Then start with the learn, see if you know the last ayah, go through the meaning of that, see if you know that, then check if you know the meaning of the second ayah, and like that. Again, that will be a way of strengthening your memorization. And then once you've done that, I would then recommend see if you can remember the individual words. because there's a lot of words which come again and again. And if you really know the material, then you should be able to know Alhamdulillah means all praise and thanks. And Amta, you bestowed favors you bestowed favors. And Amta, you blessed, you favored. Okay, so pick words like that and then see if you can remember them. And inshallah with that we'll come back. And as I say, I do want to repeat stuff, but while we're repeating stuff I also want to explain stuff as we're going along. And then once we learn some of the information, then again go back to the Quran and see how it's applied. And then inshallah I think it's a good way of not only learning the material but also seeing the beauty of it, and then inshallah getting closer to the Quran, because then you can think, oh, that's why that happens, oh, that's why this is there, oh, that's why that's there. And inshallah through that, inshallah the aim is, inshallah with the permission of Allah, that when you listen to the Quran, you can actually understand the meaning as it goes along. And then inshallah it should have and really should have, because Allah's words have an effect upon our heart. Okay, so we went, and I'm going to write it again for repetition. Arabic words. So we said Arabic words are of 3 types. Okay, and I said that it was Ism, and Isms, if you remember the meaning of Ism, if you remember, is nouns, much more than the adjectives and all those kind of things we mentioned. We also mentioned about fi'l. Fi'l are doing words like verbs, and inshallah you can remember that because we just went through it. But if you don't, as I say, repetition, something new needs to take time to get used to it. Repetition is good, and the advantage of having this way is you could always go through the information again and again if you need to. But inshallah I think you probably won't need to, because we're doing a lot of repetition. So we had Ism, we had Fi'l and Harf. Now the first focus of these lessons are we focusing on Ism. We're going to be focusing on Isms. We're going to cover Isms, a lot of the Isms, go through that. We go through Isms individually, how they then form into phrases, and eventually into how they form into sentences. And then after that we'll cover the Fi'l, and the Harfs we cover as we go along. Because as I said to you, Harfs, they are, if you remember, words that need something else with them to convey a meaning. So we'll go through the harfs which are relevant to the Isms, that they go together with Isms. We'll cover that in that section, and then when we go to the Fi'l, we'll cover those kind of harfs that normally go with the Fi'ls, the doing words, and we'll go through those inshallah. But the focus at the moment is on Ism. The focus is on Ism, and inshallah we'll go through Isms which are in rough, but at the moment just learning as the doer status. It's a good way of learning it, and if you somebody who needs sort of English to help you along, then fine. If you don't want to know the English meaning but you're comfortable with the Arabic, you're going to learn it as rough, and then inshallah we'll go through it, it's fine. So rough, there's nasb and there's jar. Let's see if you can see that. So there's rough, nasb and jar. Okay, and the endings are particular then for each situation. So we said the doer, and we said, remember the al-mudarrisu, so the rough ending is what? The damma. Damma. It could be one damma or it could be 2 dammas. Okay, doesn't make a difference. That's the ending for rough. And the nasb, remember, al-taliba, detail, referred as here, detail as in the one being hit in this case, and that has the fatha. 1 or 2, doesn't make a difference. Yeah, 1 or 2 are both in the nasb position. Okay, 1 or 2 are in the nasb position. And then we got jar, and the jar, let's put it like this so it's more clear. Okay, and the jar are the kasra. There, okay, there.